Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen for Tailored Expressions, and today we are going to be creating a Crafty Friends card. So let's take a look at the supplies I'll be using, starting with the You Color Me Happy stamp and die set. Craftiness is Happiness stamp and die set, the Rainbow Bright die set, and for cardstock, I have sugar cube, dragon fruit, bubble gum, candy corn, pineapple, kiwi, and Cookie Monster. For ink, I have the Oreo ink, and then I have my tweezers and die pick. I'll be using a Scotch tape runner and foam strips and some Olo markers. I'll be going over the exact colors a little later on in this video. And then I also have my Misty stamping tool, and I will also be using my Scotch removable tape. Now, I am going to first start by stamping out my images. I loved all of the images on this stamp set, so I decided to use all of them. I placed a piece of sugar cube cardstock in my Misty and placed out all of the images and then grabbed a sentiment from the You Color Be Happy stamp set. I'm just going to arrange them on the cardstock so I leave room for die cutting. And then I'm going to ink up the images and sentiment with the Oreo ink. Since these are red rubber stamps, we are going to need to remove the foam insert from your Misty tool. I want to get to coloring right away, so I am just going to go over my Oreo ink with a heat tool to dry it a little bit faster and reduce my chances of smearing my ink. This is going to be a really easy way to color in your images. I decided to go with a lot of teal since this is tailored expression. The teal just seemed to fit. And I'm starting out with a BG 2.3. So this is going to be the lightest color out of my two color combo selection that I have. And I'm going to just go over all of the areas that I want to be teal. I'm not going to do any shading just yet, just adding in all of the color to my images, including the glue bottle. And then for the heat gun, I'm just going to color in a few of the areas because I do want to leave some white on the images. Then I'm going to grab the next darkest color that I picked out, which is BG 2.4. And all I'm going to do is add a line. I'm not going to do any blending. I'm just adding that line to give the images a little bit of contrast and a little bit of separation between the two colors. I did also use that dark color for the actual ink pad and then filling in some of the areas on the heat tool. I'm going to move on to a light gray. So this is CG1 that I'm using for the scissors, the magnets, and the background for my Misty. And I'm also going to add a little bit of that to the heat tool just to give it a little bit of color. But for the most part, I'll leave it white. Then I will come in with a CG3 and add little shadow areas to the magnet. Now, I did also want to make a suggestion here on that ink pad. If you have those mini stamp sets from Tailored Expressions that you use to maybe do some labels, they give the actual name of the colors. That would be really cute to stamp on your ink pad. I couldn't find mine when I was filming this, but that would be super cute. Now, for the llama and the pencil, I did OR 2.1 and WG3 for the llama. I'm going to take out all of the coordinating dies for the images and the sentiment, line them up and hold them in place with that Scotch removable tape. And then once everything is secured down, I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. There are a few of the images where there's going to be some little cutouts, like the scissors, it'll cut out that little area for the handle, and then also some areas, I believe, on the heat tool. So you want to use your die pick to poke those out. I'll bring in the Rainbow Bright die. So this is going to create that fun rainbow on the front of my card. And I'm going to die cut that out of all of the colors of cardstock that I had mentioned earlier. Off screen, I sorted out the colors that I wanted to use. And instead of starting my rainbow with the pink in the beginning, I decided to kind of work backwards. So I picked each of those sizes out for the rainbow of colors, and I'm just placing them next to each other and holding them in place for right now with my hand. And then I'm going to take a long piece of that Scotch removable tape. Post-it tape would also work really well here. And I'm going to place that over the top to hold them down. I'll also take another piece of that Scotch removable tape and I'm going to place that at the top just to keep everything together. And this is going to make it a lot easier when it comes to attaching this to the front of the card. I want to actually pop up my images. So for the rainbow, I am just going to add a tape runner to the back of the entire rainbow panel. Then I can flip it over. And when I line this up, I'm going to have each of the edges of the rainbow kind of go off of the cardstock a little bit. It's going to be a lot easier for me to trim off any excess versus worrying about my edges being straight when I lined them up originally. So once I press that down, I can just peel back that removable tape. This makes it a lot easier to attach my rainbow to the front of the card versus lining it up right on the card front. Then I will flip that over and just trim off any of that excess. Now to decorate the front of my card, I took all of my images and the sentiment and I flipped them over and I'm grabbing my foam strips and I'm going to trim these in just different widths. Some of them I'll leave a little larger for the larger images and others I'm going to trim into small skinny strips and just line the back of everything with that foam tape. I like to start laying out my images with my sentiment being in the center and then building around that. And I want to have my two largest images, which is going to be my heat tool and the Misty, are going to be in opposite corners just to try and help balance it out and have it be where my card isn't too heavy on one side or another. Once I have those laid out where I want them at different angles, I can start removing the backing of that foam tape and then placing these on the front of the card. If you want to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room, you could always remove the backing of that foam tape and add a little bit of liquid glue to it. And that would just give you some of that time to adjust it if you want. Then, once I have everything in place, leaving some to hang off of the edge, I can flip that panel over and trim off those excess pieces. I created a side folding card base made from heavyweight cardstock, and I'm going to add a tape runner to the top of that and then line up my card panel with my card front. And this is going to be the perfect card to give to a crafty friend. You can find all of these products available over at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks for stopping by.